Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and completely demystify a highly technical, utterly devastating modern TCG setup. This sequence literally redefines what a classic Dragon deck can do. Today, we are taking a massive deep dive into a combo that is, quite honestly, terrifying to sit across from. If you kind of thought you knew the absolute ceiling of what a traditional Dragon strategy could output, well, you're going to want to toss those assumptions right out the window. We're unpacking the Vengeance of the Abyss, one turn kill, or OTK. By the end of our time together today, you'll see exactly how this beautiful, intricate sequence of cards clicks together to create a relentless and highly cinematic kill pattern. And to make sure everyone, especially those newer to this setup, is fully equipped to pilot this thing, I'll be dedicating some serious time to cover the common misplays, the errors, and the absolutely crucial recovery tactics that newcomers often miss. Welcome to the Explainer. Look, we need to shatter a massive myth right out of the gate here. The idea that Blue Eyes is just some anime nostalgia piece is completely false, because as we'll see, it is a highly synergized, fiercely competitive modern engine. So many players see the iconic White Dragon hit the field and immediately roll their eyes. They're thinking, oh, it's just a tribute deck or a casual roleplay thing. But the sources we're analyzing today paint a completely different picture. When this specific modern engine is fully online, it becomes an absolute nightmare. It is incredibly hard to kill, frustratingly hard to target, and basically impossible to outgrind. Once the gears of this machine start turning, stopping it requires an almost unbelievable amount of resources from your opponent. All right, to make sure newcomers don't get lost in the mechanics, here's our really quick roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. A modern Blue Eyes engine, 2. Meet the core arsenal, 3. Indigo Eye synergy secrets, 4. The Vengeance OTK setup, 5. Executing the final strike, and finally, 6. The Phantom Beast alternative. Let's get right into it. Section 1. A modern Blue Eyes engine. Setting the board. For anyone new to this strategy, I really want to take some time to walk through this brilliant one-card opening engine. Understanding why the graveyard acts as your second hand is absolutely fundamental here. Okay, so you start by taking Deep Eyes White Dragon, the Blue Abyss, right from your hand, and you deliberately discard it to the graveyard. Doing this allows you to get Kaibaman the Legend. Next, you just normal summon that Kaibaman the Legend, which lets you instantly special summon a classic Blue Eyes White Dragon right onto the field. Then, you take Kaibaman the Legend and your Blue Eyes White Dragon, and you tune them together to synchro summon the formidable Blue Eyes Spear Dragon. It's incredibly seamless, right? But the crucial part, the part you cannot miss, is that this synchro summon deliberately puts those vital materials directly into the graveyard to trigger your next massive play. Now, what's really insane about this interaction is what happens the exact moment those materials hit the grave. Because your original Blue Eyes White Dragon was sent to the graveyard for that synchro summon, Deep Eyes White Dragon, the Blue Abyss, yup, the very card we discarded in step 1, targets the Blue Eyes White Dragon and special summons itself from the graveyard entirely for free. Not only that, it comes back with a massive 3,000 attack points. Off a single, very straightforward sequence, you have a potent synchro monster and a 3,000 attack point behemoth completely ready to go. Section 2. Meet the core arsenal, the heist crew. This highly technical one-turn kill relies super heavily on 3 primary dragons. I love explaining this because they operate exactly like a coordinated heist crew where everyone has a very specific job. First up is the muscle of the crew, Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon. This guy clears the way by bypassing standard destruction protection. For newcomers, you really need to understand why this is so important. Modern boss monsters are frequently immune to being destroyed by battle or by card effects. Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon bypasses all of that. It clears the field using an effect that is super similar to the power of Sinful Spoils of Subversion's Snake Eye. It simply takes a face-up creature and displaces it, moving it directly into the spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. This kind of targeting non-destruction removal is exactly how you dismantle modern defenses. Next up is your relentless protector, Blue Eyes Jet Dragon. You really need to let it sink in that this card represents literal infinite recursion. As long as you have a Blue Eyes White Dragon on your field or in your graveyard, Blue Eyes Jet Dragon is live. If any card on the field is destroyed, it summons itself right back from the graveyard. It just constantly pops back up to shield your board and apply 3,000 attack points of suffocating pressure on your opponent. Rounding out the trio is your heavy hitter, Deep Eyes White Dragon, the Blue Abyss. This card is almost always live and ready to strike, simply because you are constantly tossing dragons into the grave during your standard combos anyway. It's your closer. It's the final blunt instrument that hits the field with raw, overwhelming stats to just finish the job. Section 3. Indigo Eyes Synergy Secrets. The underrated mid-boss. Okay, so for those of you currently learning the deck, a huge common fear is having your opening combo hand-trapped or interrupted early by your opponent. You might be wondering, how do I survive that? Well, this is where Indigo Eye's Silver Dragon absolutely shines. If your primary OTK sequence fails prematurely or gets interrupted, pivoting to Indigo Eyes allows you to safely recover. Plus, it revives a normal creature every single turn, keeping your resource loops completely topped off. It basically buys you the crucial turn you need to survive, regroup, and try for the kill again. And this brilliantly illustrates the deck's resilience. The crazy, flawless synergy between these two light dragons creates an agonizing situation for your opponent. If they manage to somehow destroy one of your cards to break the Indigo Eyes lock, they instantly trigger Blue Eyes Jet Dragon's infinite recursion effect. The two dragons just loop into each other, creating an impenetrable board state. Section 4, the Vengeance OTK setup, preparing for the kill. So making a level 12 synchro in this engine is ridiculously consistent, but there are multiple paths to get there, and you gotta choose the right one for your hand. You can use True Light to special summon Blue Eyes White Dragon, and then pair it with Neo Kaiser Seahorse. Or you can use Wishes with Eyes of Blue, which is basically the one-card combo power card of the deck. Now listen up, because a major common error players make right here is accidentally locking themselves out of special summons early by missequencing their extenders. You have to ensure you sequence these carefully so you can successfully tune your materials to bring out your muscle, Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon. The crucial point here is what exactly happens during the creation of your muscle. When making Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon with Blue Eyes White Dragon and Neo Kaiser Seahorse, the Synchro summon puts Neo Kaiser Seahorse directly into the graveyard. That graveyard trigger then actively sends Blue Eyes Jet Dragon from your deck straight to the graveyard. Boom. Now your protector is fully loaded in the grave, and we are completely ready to move in for the final sequence. Section 5. Executing the Final Strike. The Vengeance of the Abyss, OTK. Let's deliberately walk through this flurry of action because this is where the magic happens. Step 1, as we just covered, you Synchro summon Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon, which strategically loads Blue Eyes Jet Dragon into your grave. Step 2, Vengeance Dragon uses its sinful spoils of Subversion Snake Eyes similar effect to clear a face-up creature, moving it harmlessly to the spell and trap zone. Now, the main phase ends and we enter the battle phase. When Blue Eyes Jet Dragon declares its attack first, it triggers its completely broken secret sauce, a bounce effect that happens before damage calculation. The simple act of declaring the attack allows Jet Dragon to bounce any one card on the field back to the hand, physically removing, quote, whatever last pathetic defense they have left. The shields are completely down, you bypass destruction protection with Vengeance Dragon, and you bounce to their hidden back row with Jet Dragon. With the board completely wiped clean, the unmitigated overkill damage just rolls in. Blue Eyes Jet Dragon connects with its direct attack for 3,000 damage. Then comes Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon, following up with a direct attack for another 3,000. Finally, Deep Eyes White Dragon. The Blue Abyss lands its direct attack for the final 3,000. That is 3k plus 3k plus 3k directly to the face, on an entirely empty board. A clean, undeniable, guaranteed kill sequence. Section 6. The Phantom Beast Alternative. But hey, what if your opening hand looks a little different, and you need a massive board wipe right at the very beginning of your turn? Well, not to mention, you can easily open with Blue Eyes White Dragon, the White Phantom Beast. This allows you to initiate a devastating creature's board wipe near the beginning of your turn. Now, its effect does carry restriction, meaning you can only attack with Blue Eyes cards for the remainder of the turn. But honestly, that doesn't even slow you down. Because of this restriction, you just swing directly with Blue Eyes Jet Dragon, then Deep Eyes White Dragon the Blue Abyss, and finally Blue Eyes White Dragon the White Phantom Beast. You literally still achieve the exact same lethal math with 3,000 damage direct attacks right after a board wipe. It's wild. When you're sitting there looking at a strategy that effortlessly layers infinite recursion, non-destruction targeting removal, flawless recovery pivots, and highly consistent guaranteed OTKs pumping out well over 9,000 damage, it really leaves you wondering, doesn't it? Is the modern Blue Eyes engine truly unstoppable? The evolution from a nostalgic favorite into a terrifying, fiercely competitive modern combo deck is nothing short of incredible. Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating masterclass in combo synergy with me today. Keep learning, keep adapting, and I'll see you in the next explainer.